Okay, I'll call the meeting back to order. We are on item 5, confirmation of the minutes. We have the minutes from August 26th. Can I get a motion on these? Councilor Shisha.
The council approved the minutes from the August 26, 2025 regular meeting with the council as presented.
All right. Any changes, errors, or omissions? We got Councilor Martins, Councilor Stenhouse, Councilor Danaka.
We do this. Do you want to go first?
Yeah.
So my question is this, at the August 26th meeting, we had additions that were, hard copies that are not reflected anywhere. They would have been on the agenda, they're not in the minutes. How do we reflect some of those items? Like we had a letter of support, we had a couple of additions, and that, this is a question that should come up for all the times we have an addition that's put through, we don't put them in. How do we record those for the public? Because there were definitely some items that were in August 26th.
I'll be specific.
The letter of support was one. I mean, there's always, not always, but there are times when I come into a council meeting, there's an additional item that, came in late. So it doesn't make it in, but the minutes are not reflecting it and the agenda doesn't reflect it. So how do we have record of it?
But it should have been added to the agenda, right? Was it added to the agenda?
Verbally, we say as amended but it's not, there's no actual.
Like item 8.1, template letter to Lesser Slave River and the
Correct.
conference.
Correct, but there's no record of it. There's no record of that letter, or there's no record of those items that are,
in the, like an actual picture of the letter.
yes, right, or
Yeah.
put on our desk.
No, that's good. That's good.
How do we acknowledge them? Because there's, that's my question.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's motions that reflect the additions.
I think
So there,
I think what would have to be done and correct me if I'm wrong, Wendy, but we should revise the agenda after the fact. And then it's acknowledged here in minutes I think that's the way. So in the future, we will, if there's any additions to the agenda with any kind of documentation, we will revise the agenda after the fact. I'm not sure
if there's paperwork,
if there's paper. I think that's the best paper.
yeah, so that somebody can see that the letter that was sent to us asking for support. That's what you're referring to.
Yeah, good point.
Is that your, okay? Councilor Stenhouse?
So I compared the minutes to the CAO's to-do list. 6.1, the surplus policy coming back. Nowhere it's not recorded if it's in progress, if it's complete, has it come back to, again, it's a recording, keeping track of this. So there's 6.1, there's 6.52, the infill development, the costs coming back, and a policy to council. 14 point, again, 6.3.5.3. Again, it's another policy on infill development. This is the only documentation that shows that we wanted it coming back, but there's no record of it's in progress, completed, or accepted. And I would like to know about, I don't know if this belongs in the CAO report or if I address it here, but the 14.3 appointment made for Minister Dan Williams at the conference. Do I ask that question now, or at the CAO's report? Has that been completed? Is it confirmed?
Yeah, that's more of a CEO's report, or just to confirm it. Yeah.
So, and good points all, Wendy, and we've been overwhelmed with work And there's a lot of items going back 2 or 3 months probably, right, Wendy? And that she's compiled over the last couple of weeks so we don't lose track. It's been extremely busy the last 2 weeks, if not the last 4 weeks. There's only so much that the CAO can do or delegate to some of my staff. That's not to make excuses, but it's been very intense. And there have been distractions, which have occupied probably 40 hours in the last 2 weeks that I've had to address. And then you see it in my timesheet preparing for closed session. So it's taken considerable amount of time.
Building on Councillor Stenhouse things, what we've had in the past is here's the motion, here's the status, right? That, and it'd be added in just as
Yeah. So she's got a full list of many pages, and we will produce that for the next report. Something that both Wendy, myself, and my manager of finance have to sit down and sort through the different things that have to be done. So it hasn't been forgotten, and we haven't dropped it off. It hasn't fallen through the cracks. We're very well aware of all these motions and directions from council, but it's a matter of time trying to get at them all.
okay. It's not really a change to the minutes, though. You're not with the minutes otherwise.
Yeah, no, it was just to follow up, like where, it's a tracking system of where those.
No other change.
Yeah, we haven't lost track. We'll report next meeting on who's doing what and when.
Councillor Danako.
So Councillor Martins had brought this one up regarding the recorded vote and what the result was with municipal affairs, so administration will be contacting them, and then we'll have that answer at the next council meeting.
On the quorum, yeah.
The other thing, 8.2. If you look at the first page of the agenda, additions to the agenda, Growth Alberta Conference, September 19th. In the minutes on page 38, it says 2 councillors attend the Growth Alberta Conference on September 10th. So I think the 19th was the right date, right?
Yes.
So adjust that date. And just a question, Council Direct Administration 14.4 Rural Health Action Plan on the town's website, social media page, has that been completed? Has that been done?
Sorry, which one was that again? Sorry.
4.4, the Council Direct Administration to post the rural healthcare story. Action plan on town website and social media pages.
No, that's been done.
Okay,
And all of those action items that come out here should be on that report, so that people know what's been done and what hasn't been done. So without it being in that report, you don't know.
okay,
Okay, but you got the one correction for the date?
the date, yeah.
Yeah, and so with that one change, you'll adjust it?
Well, I did.
Oh, no, it's Therese, sorry, I made the motion.
With one
Correct, with the one correction.
Yeah, but I have issues too.
Oh, okay. Yes,
So 5.2, says Councilor White to check municipal affairs. Was administrative. I'm pretty sure I suggested we check with municipal affairs, but I'm fairly certain that I didn't volunteer myself to check with municipal affairs. For that one. And then at the end, there's no recording there. We were adjourning the meeting, and Councillor Dunn had said that he wasn't going to be able to make that MMSA meeting. And there's a little bit of back and forth in that between who's going to go, be it myself or Sasha. Well, first it was me, and then Sasha said that's hers, but she wasn't going to be there anyway, so I did it. So that I think should be reflected in the minutes there. That was kind of a shortened version of Councillor Dunn's report, was that he wasn't gonna make that meeting and that I was going in his stead.
Was that still during the meeting or was that after?
No, that was,
It was during the next meeting dates or
well, that was,
upcoming meeting dates like that?
yeah, when we were talking about the special meeting of council
Okay,
and that, and you said, well, that's it, we need to adjourn. And John was like, no, hang on. I can't make this. So.
okay.
That should be reflected in there as well.
That adjustment to add Councillor Dunn was unable to make the meeting and Councillor Wakel was attended. Okay, anything else? You're okay with those changes? All right. All in favor? Carried. Addressing crime in the community. Get an motion on this.
Council directs administration to implement the following measures, which we will discuss now.
Okay, here we go. Okay,
Certainly, can I speak?
you bet.
Yeah, certainly, the purpose of this report, of course, there was a lot of conversation due to a lot of the mischief that was going on the last 2-3 weeks. So I thought I'd put this together. Just to make the public also realize that the RCMP are trying to adjust things to improve the patrolling. Can more be done? Possibly. But I wanted the public to be aware of the RCMP's efforts. There's some good suggestions from Councillor Martins, which adds to the conversation and the options that were provided at the public meeting, and that will probably be discussed in some form or fashion with the operating budget in the fall. On that, though, I'll leave it to council to discuss further all the items that were discussed here.
One of the things that I think we can do, even in the, little time that this council has left, but I think we've had, all of these crime stats is very interesting for me. I did not realize that, the how far behind or, our crime severity index being higher than, what, I forget the number, but it's extremely high. And I think these kind of numbers, we should be able to take to K Division and really lobby for more RCMPs in our community. I mean, that's cut and dry, right? If we're some of the highest in the province or in Canada, like, what did you say? Somewhere I read
Whereas Canada's crime severity has gone down by 4%, and the province of Alberta, crime severity has gone down by 8.8%. Yet we're going up, the opposite direction. 24.6%, and of all the Alberta detachments, all 147, we're 7th highest in crime severity. So that's pretty serious, a detriment to economic development and tourism and everything else, and people wanting to reside here.
And it's good to see, number one, that people are reporting and because that's what helps us get those kind of stats and then helps to lobby. So that's fantastic. But I think with those stats and the latest information that we should be meeting with RCMP and starting to continue to lobby for more staff here on that basis. I know, it doesn't cost much to go to Edmonton, meet with K Division and do that at one point. I think it's better than waiting to RMA, or I mean, AUMA, because we'll have when you meet with them there, they meet with 30, 40 other communities, you get lost in the shuffle of that much information. But to do that in the next, set up something for 2, 3 weeks from now, go down and with those stats, I think that's something that we could do. Also Waco.
We have to talk to somebody federally as well, because the little crime spree that we had a couple weeks ago where all the windows were getting smashed, there was one guy who's been doing this a lot. Get him into cells, cools off, okay, come see us in court on this day, bye-bye. And then, the next day, he's doing it again. And, I mean, you can't, I don't blame the members at all, because their hands are tied. They have to do what's coming down from up top. So we need to go to the top and say, this is unacceptable. We've got an individual, and every community has them, but he's a habitual offender. Peace River has the same problem. They've got a guy that was on their Facebook page today that, that he was remanded in custody for a little bit and then released on a promise to appear. And everybody's like, yeah, but he's just going to keep doing it. And our guys keep doing it. So there has to be a consequence, because business owners are fed up and they're going to get to the point where something's going to happen. And that never ends well for anybody. So we need to advocate to a higher level. We can talk to K Division all more. And I think that that's still a good meeting to have, to lobby for more members here based on our numbers. But we need to go to the top and say, these guys gotta stay in jail. Especially if they're a habitual reoffender. That's only $900. That's it. You have to look at it cumulatively. How many thousands of dollars did that guy cause on that weekend? I know those big windows at A&W ain't cheap. So I think that, it's too late for us to do anything at that level, but we need to start arranging meetings, like who's the Minister of Justice federally?
Well, we talked about this one already because
Yeah,
by,
Barry probably brought that up, yeah.
and
But we have to grab these guys. We just, like the ministers, and they have to be made aware. I don't think they're aware, especially in small towns, how one individual or two individuals can cause tens of thousands of dollars in a couple of hours, and then they're just let out.
well, it's settled down now that he's incarcerated until his date.
Until when?
Yeah,
right.
when he gets out, yeah.
I think the only reason he's incarcerated now is because he took a swing at Brady, right? That's the only reason.
Councilor Danaka.
Well, it's very frustrating when you know what this particular person has done. 2, 3, 4 times he's arrested and whatever, and then you have Ron Shunter who picks him up, takes him to the police station, and the police are questioning Ron if are you delaying this man? Like, it makes no sense to me. He's there to confess, and then he's sitting on the steps, and the RCMP just like doing nothing. The other thing is too, with our detachment, we are getting these young rookies who are coming straight out of depot, who have very little actual
Real world.
on-site type training, boots on the ground kind of thing, that experience. So we have that issue. And I mean, it's very, very frustrating because, I mean, I saw the damage. Like, everybody knows who this fellow is, and they're frustrated because he's out walking the next day. Why isn't he in custody? And presently, right now, with the RCMP, our bylaw people, citizens on patrol, we are horribly, horribly not meeting the task at hand. And I don't know a way, like, when this was happening, all this damage and stuff, I'm like, personally, I'm at the point now of saying, we need to hire an outside police force who's gonna patrol 24/7 for a year and clean this stuff up. Cause we're not doing it. And I'm not saying that's against the RCMP, but they have the catch and release and all the other stuff that goes along with it. So I don't know what the solution is. I don't know. For those that attended that crime webinar today, Brent, was it beneficial? Did anything come forward that could possibly help us in our situation?
There was, talk about grants that might be available to help with those things. So that was the biggest thing, not specific strategies on do this, right? It wasn't, this is how you solve this problem. There's dollars available where you can, get some money to maybe help with some things. You got to identify what you want to do, see if you can get a grant to do it. That was what I got out of it.
Because I mean, right now with what's happening with the government, I don't see, even we have proof by stats saying like, this is the average, but here we're like 30% above the average. I don't see them saying, yeah, you guys need extra people, but we're not gonna help you with that. If you want them, you gotta pay for it. It's up to you. So I don't know where the strategy comes in. I don't know the solutions. I don't know how to curb this stuff. Other than some of the, it sounds cool, other than some of the, the communities in Saskatchewan and whatever, even in the States, you come in, they pick you up, they take you, drop you off 50 miles out of town, say don't come back. Are we at that point? I think we're at that tipping point where these people who come in and do all this damage with no repercussions to them, it's like, what are we gonna do? Keep letting them in? I don't know what the criteria is. Why isn't this guy banned from our community? Why is there not a ban on him saying you cannot be here? If he's here, you pick him up and you take him wherever he's supposed to be, wherever he's from. I don't know. Like, honestly, like I said, at this point, I'm at the point of saying the RCMP can't do it. Our bylaw people can't do it. Citizens on patrol can't do it. We need somebody who can do something. And it sounds militant and it sounds mean and crass and whatever, but how do we address this?
Go ahead. Can I, I brought it up a number of times, or especially at the public meeting. It comes down to patrolling. People want to see more patrolling. So how are you going to do that? The catch and release, and now we're talking about constitution. So that's a very long-term solution. People in this town want to see immediate action or something in the short term. And that extra patrolling, it's either, even though it's not ideal, another peace officer or 2 or 3 RCMP officers. The peace officer test isn't quite there, but it has to, I think we have to have more RCMP. That's my opinion as the CAO, and all the discussion that I've heard. People are frustrated. Yeah, we can advocate, and I don't mind, if myself and the mayor go down and talk to the provincial minister of justice, that's fine. But that's okay. We can say we did that. But in the meantime, the citizens, and this is going to be probably the #1 election issue, is crime reduction. But what I'm hoping of the discussion with candidates, that they'll come out and have concrete solutions, not, more talk, because, the newspapers editorialized about that. And both Peace River and us have had a number of meetings over a couple of years. So that's a decision, and it's a budgetary decision too. So it's something that I'll introduce in the operating budget for council to say yes or no to. But that's an action we could take. But even the officer in charge said, the province and the feds, they aren't going to increase nationwide or province-wide the number of RCMP officers. Well, how do you fight that? It's advocating. It's still a long-term solution. But in the meantime, our officer in charge, Jason Barber, is trying to finagle something in order to, and he is increasing the amount of patrolling, not quite 24/7, but approaching it. So that's up to I'll get off my soapbox, but that's how I see this playing out.
Cause I think, wasn't it Slave Lake that they hired that one, I guess, I don't know if it's a security company or whatever, they contracted them for a year to clean up their homelessness and whatever. The thing is that it becomes another community's problem because that where are you from? So they come in, and we've seen them come in and just drop people off and go back to Slave Lake. So it becomes another community's problem. But
Councilor Wakel.
honestly, I don't see, even with the stats presenting that and saying, hey, and they're like, well, sorry, but we're not increasing how many RCMP officers, because we're already at a deficit of getting RCMP officers, to join the. So I don't, it's very, very frustrating.
We had one murder recently, in JC Park or wherever it was. He ended up in JC Park, but and what would it take? 2 or 3 more murders to get attention? That's unfortunate. Hope it doesn't come to that.
Councilor Wakel.
Much has been made of the fact that it seems like people are brought here and dropped off from out of our community, and then they cause a problem in our community. And it was brought to my attention that we have an addiction and mental health services here in town. Here's where the rest of them are in the province: Bonnyville, Cardston, Edmonton, High Prairie, Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, Northern Addiction Center, that one's in Grand Prairie, Northgate Center, that's Edmonton, Red Deer, Sheldon Schmear, that's in Calgary, Strathcona, Westmount, that's in Edmonton, Wood Buffalo, that's Fort McMurray. So you've got, I'm not slamming the health services, but these people are brought here and then they're in our community causing issues. And this is a short list, and the majority of this, the vast majority, is in southern Alberta. right? Grand Prairie, High Prairie, and Wood Buffalo are the only three that are north of Edmonton. Oh, maybe Bonneville too, but that's kind of east there. We're importing problems. This is a huge, huge systematic problem with the whole system. Slamming people with addictions, there's issues. I get it. I understand. There has to be help for them. But if the help is going to be here, then there has to be something behind that help to back us up when that help goes sideways. Or a way that when these people are done with their treatment here, that they are taken home. I've heard from, well, several of them. Ron Shunter has mentioned it. Ray Gradstack has mentioned it. Other business owners in town have said, I don't know these people in town. Used to be, we knew who the bridge crew was. You know, there's 5 or 6 guys, we all knew who they were, we all knew where they were from. And now we've got all these people who go through the process and either don't finish or relapse, and they're here. We need help with this.
Councillor Stenhouse.
There's 3 things I'd like to address here. First of all, let's do the chain of command with the RCMP. We have a regional rep in Grand Prairie that we approach. And then take it further to Edmonton or wherever it has to go. I want to also address citizens on patrol. Excuse me. If it wouldn't be for them, this crime rate would be double. They have deterred a lot of break-ins, thefts. Like I said, these stats would be double. And keep in mind, this is 2024 stats. It has skyrocketed in 2025. But going to see a division in Edmonton, or let's you and Barry go to Ottawa, you can't just go there and say, we need help. You have to come there with a solution. And this comes back to that Yak Center being repurposed for a solution. It could be used as a detention center. So when these guys we could put in a curfew, no one on the streets at such and such a time, you're picked up and you're thrown into the detention center and let out at 7 a.m. Or it could be picking up these people who are who are witnessed by citizens on patrol, attempting to break in, they're picked up, throw them into the Yak Center overnight and take it from there. You can't just go and say, we need help, we need money, we need officers. You need some solutions, and we do have some of the resources in town. Let's fight to repurpose that Yak Center.
Councillor Danaka, then Councillor Yurchish.
I find that, and that's a good suggestion, and I agree. I found that really interesting when Danielle Smith was here. I believe it was, Greg Redstack asked her about the Yak. And she said she was told, or she was under the impression that it burned down. So somebody's not talking to somebody who's not talking to somebody to giving them the right information. If she was, I believe she said, well, I thought it was completely burned. No. It's still, so some minister somewhere is going, oh, okay, well, we don't want to do anything, so we'll just tell them that it's completely destroyed. It's burnt. It's burnt down. Well, no, it's not. So then you're dealing with those issues of who's telling who what. So as Councillor Steno said, we can go with all the stats you want and all everything else. But I mean, who's telling who what? Yak is a perfect solution. I agree with you. You know, the curfew, these guys that are wandering around And I mean, and this guy was doing that shit at 7 o'clock in the morning. 7 o'clock in the morning, and there's vehicles driving by while he's hucking rocks at the Super 8. I don't know if these people called him in or not, but I mean, all great solutions. And that would be the perfect thing, you know, like you see these guys, he's whatever, keep him there until his arraignment or whatever, keep him there until I mean, and some of the other homeless, they go to Mita, but they don't want help. They allow them to stay there and kick them out at 7 o'clock in the morning.
But even if it's not just till arraignment, you hear the firefighters are burnt out. Citizens on patrol are burnt out. We don't have the RCMP to cover. Throw them in detention for the night so we can get some sleep and function in the morning. And if they keep going to detention, sooner or later, they're gonna end up in front of a judge. We don't need no fancy training, anything. It's a detention center. Cots on the bed, on the floor, or mats or whatever. You're caught, you broke the curfew, you're going to detention. At least it gives the residents a break. The residents can sleep at night, citizens on patrol, RCMP can figure something out, whatever.
Counselor Yashin.
Yeah, you know, I think we're all talking the same thing, right? Like we have citizens on patrol, we have those huge efforts in place, and it's, there's so much going on that absolutely, I mean, people are out there, they're working hard at that, but what we're talking about, it seems, is, okay, we have that, we've identified what the problems are, but we need a solution. I mean, we need that solution to it, we need that end to it, and it seems like that's the piece. I mean, well, not seems, that's the piece that's missing, and like you're mentioning there too, like the Mita Center or the Yak, or it's we're dealing with all that up front, but there's not that solution, like you're saying, and I think that's really the key there. It's a big problem everywhere, but it is a big problem here, and we can't have residents up all night, wondering is something being broken into, and everybody's on high alert, right? So, I mean, that's not healthy by any means, and we have to find a way to make that work and protect our community. And, in the situation that we witnessed, there was one individual, but then there's going to be another individual. I think there's much more going on. Obviously, there's the drug aspect. That's the start of it, I think, a lot of it. And so there's many problems that way. When we're talking about the individual or individuals that are in our community, that are harming our community and our people. And I think maybe with that, there's got to be something we can do there. And I'm just throwing this out there, and I think if you touched on that already, is there a bylaw that we can put in place that says, so we're saying they go to they take their RCMP takes them in, but they're out right away. But is there a bylaw we can have in place that is our bylaw that says you can't be here if you're going to be doing that, or you're doing those types of actions like that? I don't know. It's just one solution that was coming to my mind. What can we be doing in our community that way that we have control over? What that would look like, how that would work, I don't know. But if you're not behaving first time, then maybe the second time, that's it. I mean, you have to either leave the community or move with family somewhere. There's got to be a solution there. But it's complex. It absolutely is complex. And, we hear it, we see it, and it's not without care, that's for sure. I think we can find a solution there. Probably not at this exact moment, all of us sitting here, but I mean, we're all concerned, we're all working on it, and we're all coming up with ideas that I think we can see if we can move forward. And I don't mean next year, 5 years from now, I mean right now. And there's going to be more to come in that also as well that CEO has brought up. So, yeah, it's complicated, for sure, it's a challenge nowadays.
We've got Counselor Leopold and then.
We do have a curfew bylaw saying that 17 and under, though. I don't know if that's gonna curb anything. Yeah, we have a curfew bylaw for youth between 12 and 6. Thou shalt not be in the streets. I think 17 and under, and you get released to, let's see, public place, yeah, violation day. Just looking for the consequences here. Yeah, no parent or guardian shall suffer penalty on a child who is in his or her custody, care, or control, be in public place during the curfew period. There's provisions for work and volunteerism. But you know, first offense is $100 and second offense, sub offenses are $200. Now, I don't know how much of this problem is caused by youth is the problem.
He's not a youth.
No, well, that particular one is not. He's like
But the
30.
thing, like I said before, like
Well,
when
it must be Counselor Days or Counselor.
give a report, and 2 people were banned from town. Like, I don't know what it takes to be banned from town, but I don't know why this guy hasn't been banned since his first incident where he was breaking things and hitting cars and doing all kinds of nefarious stuff.
I think your suggestion about the Yak Center detention is interesting. I'm just wondering the practicality of it all. You know, who's going to detain them? The peace officers? Then you're talking, then we're going to have to set up something legally. Plus, you're going to have to bring that center to code or building, whatever building you are in code, and plus have the proper cells. And that's, you know, you're talking about operating budget, you're talking about capital budget. Is it going to be as effective? I don't know. But these are decisions for council to make or for the candidates to discuss. But anyway, just the thought, but it's not a bad thought. I thought, you know, it's interesting.
The Yak is a government-owned building, so is that land. That's the government's responsibility to bring it up to code and make it accessible so that we can deter this crime. Not the taxpayers, the government-owned building. That's what we lobby for, not saying, here's our stats. Yeah, okay. No, here's a solution. You own it.
Yep.
You don't pay taxes on it. Our community is in dire need and we need your help. This is how you can help us. We don't need no more RCMP. You can't provide us with RCMP. You can't provide us with this other stuff. You can provide us with renovating that building that you own.
Just, can we create a bylaw? It's an interesting suggestion about banning somebody from our community. I know we have no trespassing orders for a facility, a business, a home, but can we buy it and just say, you can't come to our community?
And that's what I'm saying.
I don't know if we have the power to do that. I don't know.
Well, like I said, when Alan would give his report, he would say so-and-so was banned, and we'd ask him why. He said, well, they had a lot of issues with businesses and stealing and thievery, and he was banned, or they were banned. So, I mean, if that's the case, as soon as that person comes to town and they're picked up, they get taken out of town. Maybe eventually they'll learn that they're not welcome.
Yeah, it's an interesting, I don't know if we can ban somebody, so
No.
you're not allowed back in this community, period. We can certainly say that for, you're not allowed into the arena, you're not allowed into the library, you're not allowed into Friesen Brother, whatever, but I don't know if you can say you can't cross into the town. I don't know if you can do
Only a court can do that.
that. Can a court do that?
A court could, it'd be a legal process and it would likely end up in front of the Supreme Court. And that'd be a case worth watch it, right? I mean, that's, we're not high enough on the food chain in terms of government or authority to be able to ban somebody from coming to town. We could ban them from all of our facilities, and every business in town can ban them from the premises and make it as unpleasant for them as possible.
I've got an answer. Good for Google, just a general thing, but can a small town or community expel or prohibit an individual due to charges of aggravated assault if they feel threatened, or could be anything. And the community or town itself lacks the legal authority to impose such a ban. And an individual is entitled to the presumption of innocence until due process is completed. So any ban attempted by a town would likely be deemed unconstitutional, infringing on the charter rights of the accused, and overstepping the town's jurisdiction into matters governed by federal law and the courts. So we're talking about a long-term solution to advocate for a change of the Constitution. And so again, I come back, the citizens in this town want something immediate and effective. Advocating is a mid to long-term solution.
All right, I'm going to, I know Councillor Martins is passionate on this. Do you have anything you want to say?
That's right. Four things to say, but
Okay,
Yes, you should.
well, you go ahead. Go ahead first. Everybody else has had a chance to speak multiple times, so we gotta get moving here.
okay, so first thing I'm going to address, Donna, your concern about, hey, this is happening to us. So in today's session, the gentleman actually said, I had that quote in there and I took it out. One of his things, this is happening all over Canada. And secondly, I don't know if you've heard, but the city of Barrie, Ontario issued a state of local emergency today.
Yes.
Exactly this thing. The mayor was up there speaking. He had 2 or 3 things. We're going to do this, this, and this. One of the things was zero tolerance policy of people being dropped off. I just took note of that because maybe we can have a zero tolerance policy for people being dropped off. I don't know. That was one. The second, today's session talked about grant funding. There are some open-ended things and he was very, and I know, David, I know you've got a small team, but we need to have a project deemed shelf ready, because there's things that we could have the RCMP give us a letter of support. We could have some of the social organizations in town give us a letter of support. Businesses, if we have all of the stuff in a file ready to go, all we have to do is press send. There are some big dollars at play. We're talking, and he gave examples of who, some of the funding has been disseminated to, some in our region. And secondly, he said, it's not always per capita, meaning Edmonton might have a rather large population, but get a smaller piece of the pie versus a High Prairie that has a small population. But, it's all about the case you make. And he said, ask big. So I wanted to bring that up. I agree. Someone said it here that citizens are looking for an immediate thing. I sent out my recommendations that were all pretty much zero cost, August 31st. I don't understand why we don't gather. We cannot sit in a silo. I've heard from too many business owners and other institutions that want to come to the table. I think we need to have a task force. It doesn't cost us anything. We sit down in a room, this room, there's no rental fee, and really put our heads together. And day after day, there's some people that are just like me, are really passionate about this and are willing to volunteer their time and their expertise in moving this needle forward. Just like the Child Daycare Society, they got that up and running once they took over. They were an ambitious group in weeks. So I think that this is very similar, and we've already sat on our hands for way too long. So my point there was not to perform in a silo, and thirdly, I would love for us, we council have the ability to set priorities and set our administration, meaning our employees, in a direction. Let's intensify Brady and Edwin, let them, tag team or whatever it is, and only be out from 1 a.m. to I'll say 6 or whatever the shift is. For a short period of time, let's try something. It's like we're doing nothing. Let's try something that costs us nothing. we already have these personnel. Why can't we also have in tandem one RCMP officer dedicated to just the town on every day of the week, especially in those hours, with a Brady on one day, Edwin on another day? Again, I'm not telling you how to direct your staff, David, but something like that. I feel like we have to do something. We cannot wait until our next council meeting because this will get pushed and pushed. August 31st was when this came to us. Today is September 9th. We've already waited 9 days. So I don't see why tomorrow we can't have this task force where it's 1 or 2 individuals per body, and people will make the time to come. It's just easy, not sitting around talking and talking and talking. 30 minutes, let's get this done. Here's 5 things that we can action today and make it happen. You know, I went to the county meeting whatever the last meeting date was. One of the things I heard was that our peace officers don't ever operate on a Sunday. Well, so far they haven't. Maybe they will in the future. And the times that they offered were daytime times. So I'm just saying, why can't we try something different? Those were the 4 things I wanted to bring to this table. I think we need to action this like yesterday, not tomorrow or today. Yesterday, we're already behind the 8 ball.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe our peace officers have worked the evening shifts in the past, and I believe they're doing it now too, right? Like it's not, that is being done. That part is being done to try to curb some of it.
Well, the meeting was August 27th, so between August 27th and today, maybe that's changed, but that was the meeting I attended on August 27th of the county, where that was said. The shifts were don't quote me, like 8 to 4, 9 to 6, and there was one time where it was 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. and no Sundays. Great, but we have direction to do something different from our citizenship. Let's do something different.
I don't disagree with the task force. I think the public meeting in June was poorly attended. You know, because we didn't have business group and our, you know, well, the RCP was there, but you know, stuff.
It's not this forum, not like one of those like
That's
sit
right.
down and talk theater style. This is a meeting of an actionable meeting where it's not just the general public are invited, 1 or 2 representatives from all of the stakeholder groups, partner groups. And some of those can be communities around us because they are, one of the subjects of concern, maybe from a surrounding community. I won't name which one, I think we all know here. Maybe they need to come to the table as well, and put their 2 cents in and figure out remediation solutions. We're operating in a silo, just us, or just, we need to come together and be on the same page.
Okay, we've had lots of ideas thrown out there. And some of them we can do quickly, some of them we can't do, and what do we want to do? What do we want? We have a motion to do.
Yeah.
What are those things? I would suggest that we could, 1, strike up a task force. 2, I think we go and talk to K Division, we lobby there. I think those would be 2 places to start. We're already working on some of the evening patrols. Yeah, that's.
And advertise this 310 RCMP number. I didn't know about that.
But yeah.
I mean, make people aware of it, have that, on our front center on our webpage. Advertise it on Facebook, say, hey, if you've got issues, here's a number that you can download an app.
So that's,
one more thing. Can we also put out a little call for volunteer firefighters, but also volunteer COP members? I mean, people are really, maybe there's someone that says, okay, with all of this recent thing, I've been sitting on the fence, but it doesn't hurt.
So I see sort of four things.
Yeah.
That we would like to do in the next month.
In the next 24 hours, none of the stuff is, really.
We're not making an appointment with the K Division
No,
24 hours,
except for
right?
that one,
And,
right, yeah.
I mean, we can advertise the 310 number, we can advertise for citizens on patrol and volunteer firefighters unrelated to this, that's. And we could look at trying to organize a task force, but probably not gonna happen in 24 hours.
We can put the call out though and say,
Yeah.
we wanna do this and we have stakeholders that we wanna have on it, like we wanna have
Well,
RCMP representation.
we
One
could
of our
have
guys.
Lakeshore Regional Police there, cause they're involved,
Yeah, like get all those,
citizens on patrol.
yeah,
I mean, it's a lot of the same people we had at our meetings, right? Except maybe some more people that, it's a different forum.
But maybe we could eliminate one guest speaker so that the meeting would be conducted properly.
But anyway, I mean, it's, how do you deal with it? Like you said, it's something happening across Canada. As it was mentioned today, it's not just us. But it seems like we're getting more of it based on these crime stats, which is very interesting. And I believe it's something that I wasn't aware of until just recently with these stats that we are way behind. And I think we can use that to lobby too.
I think our stats are higher too, because people have been fed up and they're reporting more. You know, and I don't know how much of this, our stats are.
Let's cut it here.
Yeah.
And we've got a motion
Yeah.
with 4 action items. Set up a date for a task force meeting, set up a date for a meeting with K Division, advertise the 310 app to our residents. And also we can do an advertisement for Citizens on Patrol to see if we can get some people involved. All in favor? All right, done. Moving on to selection of the Economic Development Council. Can I get a motion on this? A consultant, sorry. Economic Development Consultant. We had I'll make a motion just to get this started that council approved the selection of Deloitte to create an economic development strategy. And that the county pays 60%, the town pays 40% of the total cost, net of any grants received for this initiative. So I'll just, as a background, and like we talked before, the Economic Development Committee, the Joint Committee, put out a call for a request for proposals earlier last week. We listened to some of the proposals, and these were the one that we selected from that group. We asked them to do a presentation to our council and to the county council to make sure everybody sort of knew what was going on and how it was there. We talked at the committee about how this could get funded. It's roughly, $100,000 price tag for this. So we're looking at about $40,000 to get them up and going. Now, one of the things we should put is where would the money come from for this?
Unrestricted operations.
So this would be operating. You think it will have 40,000 in operating with the other ones? Okay.
We're that 331,000 forecasted surplus is still in service.
Still look okay. So that's the idea. Any questions, thoughts? Councillor Stenhouse?
So in reading, it's in the cost funding, the second paragraph, it says the county's gonna apply for a tourism to offset this project. How does a tourism grant offset this project?
It'll be that's part of the economic development, this, the CAO is relative, of the county is relatively, optimistic that it'll be received. It'll have to defray the costs and, the county, both the county and the town will benefit from the grant. Tourism is part of economic development.
So. Okay, I'd like a recorded vote on this, because I would like the motion to read, pending approval of this grant. Because so we come up with the money. And the study is done, and then a grant is approved. How is that gonna fit in, and could that not offset this 40,000?
Well, if you're waiting for the grant, then everything is put on hold. This was to get started sooner rather than later, so I think we're best, at this point to say we are invested up to 40, up to that 40% or roughly 40 grant. And if we get the grant, then it's going to become less, but we're not counting on the grant to move forward. So what I'm suggesting is that we're moving forward with 40,000, and then if needed, then we would get a reduction in that.
No, I don't understand how you're gonna get refunded from a grant. It's just going to up the cost. This consultant will say, okay, so since you got the grant, I'm gonna add this and add this to use
a
up.
quote. We've got a quote. So they're gonna stick with that quote regardless. So that's the maximum we would pay, that 40% of the 92,860.
Okay, so let's say the grant comes in.
Then and if it's received by the county, then they'll give us 40% of that grant. Easy teasy. Why not?
Councillor Martins?
So just on that, I didn't think of that, but on your, because I've dealt with grants, they do not reimburse things that have already happened, a
Right.
project that has already happened. That grant cannot be retroactive to say, oh, I did this 2 weeks ago, and so I didn't think of that. And you're right, that is actually true, that
And you,
grants don't go backwards and.
and you cannot misuse a grant because you get audited, you're in big trouble. If you must allocate that money for what that grant
Let's
was,
go to something else, forward, future forward, and still enhance this project, or you're right. But you're right, I didn't think of that. It's true.
There are situations where you can retroactively use grants. It's happened in the past. But let's forget about the grant because.
well,
it may
no,
or may-
because that is in our information.
I know, but what I'm saying to you, we don't know if we're getting the grant. I am making the motion that we're approving $40,000 at this point. If we get the grant and it can be applied, it may reduce it. If we don't get the grant, I'm saying we still go ahead with it. It's not contingent on the grant. The grant would be a bonus if it came through at this time.
Recorded vote, please.
All right, anything else on this one?
I'd just like to hear from council to see if they all are bought in and think it's a great idea, and, I just haven't heard from three individuals, UI and we put it.
Okay, if you want to answer where you're at. You're fine with it?
I'm okay with it.
Donna?
Well, like I asked him, I said, well, what are we looking to achieve out of this? Like, it seems like we've put so much money into so many different pots. You know, tourism. We gave X amount to the county for a kiosk, and now we're part of the South Shore, whatever they're called now. And here's 50,000 or whatever we put. And it's just, you're just not seeing any like concrete benefit from that.
Again. So, economic development is one of our strategic priorities. So if we don't go forward with the study, then what are you expecting administration to do? Again, we want to develop the economy here, so we need more of an expert, and Deloitte's well experienced with this. I am against studies that sit on the shelf. So hopefully an action plan, a practical one, will come out of this. But if this gets rejected, you're handcuffing the county also. So, or are you saying take it off the strategic priorities? Because I have no solutions beyond this. You can't ask me to do stuff without a good plan that professionals will help us with our assistance, with all the groups that they're gonna, incorporate into their focus groups. I don't know how to go forward, so it's up to council either, but don't come to me and say not enough has been done on economic development. My hands will be tied.
Councillor Shishin.
Yeah, I mean, this is a professional company, right? I mean, they've done work extremely. But I mean, we have to hold that accountable. We can't let it go on the shelf either. But it's an opportunity to get expert advice and a report that can move the community forward, right? Because, I mean, we can guess and we can say, well, if we brought this here, or if we really lobby to bring that business here, or whatever it is that way, what are we basing that on? Like, we don't have the expertise around the table here, or likely to in the next council. You need a company like this to be able to give that information, to be able to start to move forward and to follow through and have some success with that. I mean, that's the key, is to ensure that we have success with it. So, every community is different. Maybe there's something here through there, through what they put together, that they say, you know what, because of blah, 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 we think if you attract, you have the opportunity or the good chance to attract this type of business or company that could in turn move the community forward. So, yeah, I mean, that's why I'm supporting that.
Okay. We have the motion. Councillor Martins.
You have your mic on, John, are you done?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so this is an extremely tough call for me. One, I sit on the committee, so I was part of the vetting. There were two very good contenders, both were excellent. I also believe that we're getting a good deal here. We had to fight for that 60-40 split. They were very much into 50-50. So good job. I think the mayor kind of, like stranglehold them and said, no, we're doing 60-40. So I think on a positive, I think we're getting a good deal. They're very, they're one of two very good contenders. What David Joyce said is also true. Both the CAOs actually preferred this one over the other. Now, on the other side, I will tell you my thoughts. David, did you happen to read the previous report, the 70-page report?
2012 or when? it was?
Yeah, that's correct.
No.
Okay, so I did. It's 73 pages long. There was also another one that was done specifically for High Prairie. Folks, I don't know how much was spent, probably very similar, 80 to 100 grand. I looked at it and I didn't look at it with a fine-tooth comb, but if you take out the census data and the dates, I feel like we're putting the cart before the horse. We have a major problem today that we need to deal with first, and then deal with, you're right, it is a priority. And I think that one has to come first before, we have to have a hospitable environment before we deal with economic development. And again, I'm for a low-cost approach. Let's dust off those 73 pages, plus there's another report, I think from 2014, that was done specifically for High Prairie. In it are very tangible action items that we could dust off and pick the low-hanging fruit first. And then, you know, I mean, Deloitte's not going anywhere. The other company that we talked to, they're not going anywhere. Let's get crime and all of the other things that are solid footing first before we spend 40 grand. And it's tough because this is my bread and butter. I love growth. I love economic development. I also think that businesses should be involved in their own growth strategy. I said this at the Economic Development Committee with the county, that we sit in these silos and we don't bring in our bigger partners. I'm actually for this, just deferring it a little bit, because I feel like there's so many things that we can do first from those reports. It was put on by Deloitte, well, their subsidiary called MDB. Let's look through that. There's some great nuggets still that are very relevant. Why pay again when we have something already in place that we can execute on? Even if we took 3 actionable items, let's do that before we pay again another 100 grand between the 2 municipalities. Those are my thoughts. And it's tough. I really had to go, you know, debate with myself on this one, but I think our tax base is really, you know, from speaking with people just recently, no one has the appetite to throw money at things that don't give us a return on investment that is at least double what the dollars we're spending are. So, because David, you know, they're not going to give you headcount. They're not going to come in and help you execute this. They'll give us a beautiful document like Deloitte style, very pretty. You and your team have to still execute. So why don't we just look at the stuff we already have?
I think it needs to be re-energized. You'd mentioned that, you know, bringing in business groups, incorporating them. That's exactly what Deloitte will do. Again, this is a decision for council. You know, I put all the town-owned developable properties on the market. You know, we'll expedite any business development or building development or permit development as quickly as possible. But other than that, I'm exhausted as far as what to do. So this is a way to re-energize and incorporate these focus groups and just like a task force, if you will, for the reduction of crime. This is for a task force for economic development. So that's all I can say on the minute.
And I think,
You go, no.
I agree. I don't want to see anything sit on the shelf, which is, I know that's the same concern, right? And where was this report before? What year was that report? That went for High Prairie?
2011.
2011.
The one for High Prairie was more recent. I don't quote me, but I'm gonna say 2014.
But High Prairie did one?
It has a High Prairie, but old red logo with the pretty little plastic cover with those little coily things. Yeah. This is the thing, we councils, you guys would have been around, you, Donna, you know, I maybe not, I don't know. We do these things and we don't. That's why I asked him about aftercare, and I don't know, I just feel like we have enough to deal with this on our own right now. There's some good ideas in there that we should just dust off.
I think, yeah, if you're going back 14, 15 years, things have changed since then. Like they talked about the Seal Lake Road that's been done, those kinds of things. So for me, I think it's giving us a roadmap for the future, what we need to do, how to do it. We do have some challenges and we can ask them for some possible solutions for those too. Housing is another one of our huge challenges, and being able to get places. I mean, we can be crime free, but we can't have people coming to our community because we don't have a place for them to stay. So there's a couple of issues and there's things that we do need to work on. but they can help with that. Give us ideas on how to attract developers. Give us ideas on maybe what others have done to reduce crime, because they have said that this is what they have dealt with this in some other communities or had discussions. I think we can use them to help get some ideas and some actionable items to move forward on. So, and I mean, we've been involved with these for a while now. So for me, I'm still supporting it. Councillor Winkle?
I have no problem picking things out of those previous reports if they're actionable items, things that we can work on. But what we need to understand is a couple of things here. Is one, the committee, and I believe it was referenced that it was the mayor. Fought hard to have this a 60-40 split with the county. If we walk away from it now, we're screwing the county. And they're not gonna forget that. I don't know why we can't dust off some of the old things. Sure, see how much of it's relevant. Things have changed to a degree. And then make sure that, and I think part of the problem too with the previous action reports, and this is an ongoing problem that we seem to have, is the revolving chair in the CAO's office is, you know, you get in there and somebody else comes in, they don't know, or they're catching up and things fall behind and then it's on a shelf and then it's done. So get this report done. Dust off what we can from the old ones. Just have a huge 2026. And then go forward and just make sure that when we're implementing this stuff, that we do implement it. I believe the Seal Lake Road was one of the things that was in one of those reports. So, I mean, that was a pretty big thing.
Councillor Yushishin?
Yeah, I'll just be quick, short here. I just see a lot of these things happening in tandem, really, like, you know, I don't think we have to be just working with crime or just working with this. You know, I see it all working together because I see it us moving forward and those things coming together at the same time. So, you know, one thing about if it was the same company, Deloitte, that did that one, well, then they should be kind of familiar with, okay, well, he mentioned, obviously it was said already, mentioned about the Seal Lake Road. And so, you know, I'm sure they'll take those, they see what's been accomplished, but times have changed. So they'll incorporate a lot of the new stuff too. And, you know, I think if we can get, you know, like I keep saying this all the time, but grow and get businesses and hopefully it'll in time, it'll displace some of, you know, the concerns we have or lessen the crime when we've got more things, you know, coming in. And it's hard when we're small. It's, you know, there's crime in it. It's yeah, it's all difficulties, right? But I do see it working in tandem, and I see us addressing this as well as that. And yeah, I mean, I don't think we have to choose one or the other. I think we need to move forward.
And I think with you know, I think you mentioned 3 items that didn't go forward from the old report. Well, that's a good question
Yeah.
to bring forward to this new group and to Deloitte, because they have a stake in that, to ask them, well, was that a practical suggestion? What was the roadblock? Why did it not come to fruition? And then to build, okay, some sort of action plan to make sure if they put forward the same 3 suggestions or recommendations, you know, certain steps that are practical for administration and council to follow through on. But I do think we need a refresh. I think it would be good to really re-energize our efforts for economic development.
If I could just add, it's a good point though. Like, you know, if there were some of the things that are on the plan that were there that Councillor Martin brings up, that's really good to know too, because obviously, yeah, there's opportunities there too that maybe for whatever reasons we weren't able to. address at that time, for sure.
Okay. What is that to say?
I've said lots.
Or we have, you had,
I've said lots.
okay, we had a request for a recording. And the motion is to just, what did I say? The council approved the selection of Deloitte to create an economic development strategy that the county will pay 60% and the town will pay 40% of the total cost net of any grants received for this initiative,
Coming from operating surplus.
coming from the funds from operating surplus. All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. All right, item 6.3. How much time do we got? I'm wondering if we should,
Right into the closed.
what's more important, the museum or the, because we won't get to both of them, I don't think.
You can skip the
Do we, huh?
You can defer to the next
To
meeting.
defer the museum?
Yeah, it says last year, the choosing of the citizen of the year. But
And the museum is still transitioning.
Yeah, so let's, if all the councils, all right, moving bringing the museum transitions or bringing the museum up to the next meeting. Everybody's all right with that? Okay. So let's move on then to Outstanding Citizens Award. Always a tough decision trying to make this, as we'll go into a closed session.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
Discussions. So with that, I'll make the motion that we move into a closed session. All in favor? All right, we'll bring in the cone of silence.
9:41.
So
Close at 9:41.
9:41, oh, okay. It's good. All right. Okay, close. Go ahead.